Welcome back to Top 5 Auto Repairs. Today's topic, I'm going to discuss bad radiator and how you know it is time to replace it. The first most common problem is going to be coolant leaks. So if you see leaking externally out of your radiator, most likely there's going to be a problem somewhere. If coolant is leaking externally, most likely there's a crack somewhere on the radiator. For example, you want to check the cracks around the top part of the radiator. Over here, you want to check cracks around this side over here, where it connects pretty close to the cooling fin. You want to check on the other side. You want to check for cracks on this side as well. And you want to check for cracks on this side as well. Also, cracks is pretty common that occurs on the top of the filler neck over here. It's a very common problem. For example, if I take this other radiator over here, as you can see, this filler neck on top of the radiator broke off. And it was duct taped because this customer tried to fix it, but that didn't fix the issue at all. Also, make sure you thoroughly check for leaks everywhere on the radiator. For example, wherever there's a connection, right here where the radiator hose goes to, over here and over here, you want to make sure it's not leaking over here and here as well, because sometimes these pieces over here can become brittle and start to break off, and that'll cause a leak. Also, you want to make sure that this drain plug over here is not causing a leak as well, because sometimes these seals can fail and cause a massive leak. The next common problem is going to be rust in the cooling system that's causing the radiator to clog. If you're not using the proper coolant that's designed for your vehicle, there's a good chance it's going to cause a lot of rust in the cooling system. For example, the water pump can start to rust and cause the rust to flow around the cooling system and eventually end up in the radiator passages and cause that to clog. Also, the engine block can also start to rust, again, cause that rust to clog up the radiator as well. So with this rust in the cooling system, it's going to cause clogs in the radiator. What's this going to happen? It's going to cause inconsistent coolant flow. When there's inconsistent coolant flow, most likely it's caused by a clog somewhere in the radiator. So what you want to do, you want to get yourself an infrared thermometer and you want to check the temperature across the radiator. You want to make sure that there is consistent readings all across the radiator. You want to make sure that reading is consistent. For example, let's just say on this spot over here, you got a temperature of 109 degrees. And suddenly, if you go over here and you got a temperature, let's just say 140 degrees, then most likely, you know, there's going to be a clog right here somewhere. And it's time to replace that radiator. The next most common problem is going to be Milky Coolant. Nowadays, the transmission cooler is built together with the radiator. And when these components fail, it's going to cause the transmission fluid and the radiator coolant to mix together. So when the transmission cooler and radiator coolant mix together, it's going to cause that milky substance. To know whether or not your radiator is equipped with a transmission cooler, all you have to do is look for the transmission cooler line. So as you can see over here, this is the transmission cooler line. It's going to be over here and over here. So that's how you know you got a radiator that's built together with the transmission cooler. Again, when you see that milky substance, it is time to change that radiator. Also, you may also want to flush out your transmission as well, because most likely that milky substance is going to end up in your transmission as well. The next common problem is going to be damage. So basically the radiator is always built on the front end of the vehicle because that's where it gets the most airflow. Of course, when a radiator is mounted on the front end of the vehicle, it is prone to damage. For example, you can see this radiator over here. What happened was that this customer was driving down the road and suddenly a large object just flew and hit this radiator and caused damage to it. So again, if you have damage somewhere on your radiator, it is time to replace it. When you have damage or leaks or cracks somewhere, or you got a drain plug that's causing leak, or you have a bad transmission cooler, all of this is going to contribute to overheating. As always, thank you for watching. Subscribe to Top 5 Auto Repairs.